to talk about how artists set up their tables at MegaCon and get some great tips from Ashes AR who sold at the convention. So how were the displays this year at MegaCon? There were a crap ton of tables and everyone decorated them in a variety of different ways. And some were very tall, some were very short, and so on. Speaking of table heights, let's talk about Sleepy Tofu Company. First of all, congrats, Miss Ma'am, for getting into MegaCon. That is huge, especially as someone who just started doing tables last year. Now, in the WasabiCon review video, she gave the advice of build your tables up. You don't want your tables to be sitting too low and at eye level because they can get buried in the crowd. I am very happy to say that for MegaCon, she was able to build up her table display into something that is a lot more robust, a lot more full looking, and definitely stood out in her section compared to the display she had at WasabiCon. I'll put a comparison on screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Last year for WasabiCon, she had a table display that worked for the products that she currently had available, but it was a little bit low. You can kind of see bits and pieces of the tables on the sides of her, and they were significantly taller, and I felt like they may have consumed her presence just ever so slightly. Compared to this year at MegaCon, she really built her table up. She's got her brand name up front and center, and everything just looks absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy for her that she got into MegaCon, and I can only imagine that she made fantastic profits because, listen y'all, her art is amazing, okay? The fact that she's got really good choice of colors and her character designs are very poppy and energetic, just chef's kiss. I only see good things from her. As far as everyone else's displays were, everyone put up their displays well. If you're using the display cubes, as far as scale is concerned, they were about 3 to 4 cubes high, and everyone had their own unique way of displaying their work. They put their display walls up and they had their prints, stickers, keychains, plushies on the individual panels. Some displays did a little hack that you can do. You have your display stand like this. Like, say this is the front of your display stand, and then you have another piece, but instead of just standing it up, you tilt it at an angle, and from what I recall, people zip tie the two corners together so that it can stay at an angle, and then that way they can display their artwork at an angle, so you're not looking flat at the display and you're also not just looking straight down at a table. The table heights that they provide for you, I want to say they go a little bit above your crotch, like in between your crotch and your waist, so it's still fairly low. So if you have your products just laying flat on the table, people will have to walk up and then look like straight down to see the items that are further down. So tilting it at that angle kind of prevents them from like having to like really look down at the work. As far as decorative items go, some artists include little cutouts of their mascot. They were really smart about this. They used it to fill the negative space on their display. What one person did is that they took their character cutout and they just put it in that empty space, so that way it fills up that area and makes it feel less empty while also just kind of showing off their characters. Some artists will have their character pointer cutouts pointing at their QR code or their social media contacts. I think one had like a little chibi thing just kind of like pointing to the QR code, and another person had theirs where they just had a character just sitting on top of like the business card holder, like, yeah, you know you want a business card. Those can be kind of cute and fun ways to kind of spice up the display of your table, especially if you have mascots or recurring characters within your brand. As far as business cards are concerned, a lot of people just have like a standard business card holder and they just put their business cards on there. Some people kind of spread them out across their table. Other people will just have like a front and a back available and just ask you to take a picture of it. One guy in particular who did something that I plan on doing, there's these coffin shaped little caskets that you can get from, I think, Michael's or Joann's. They're fully functional, they can open and close. He painted his in his brand colors and he used that to display his business card. So that could be a way to tie your something as simple as your business card holder into your brand. Another thing that artists do is they have these, what are they called? They're called I think they're called photo backdrop displays. It's essentially just like a long rectangle that you keep above you, and then you can hang like fabric backdrops from it. Instead of having a fabric backdrop, what they'll do is string together a bunch of their artwork and they'll hang that from the backdrop. So if someone's walking from the distance, they can go, oh, hey, what's that tall thing over there? And then that can help draw people into your table. If you have more of a cutesy or kind of a cottagecore or just kind of a cozier, warmer, fantasy-esque aesthetic, I know I just listed like 3 different aesthetics there. You can do fake leaves, you can do fairy lights, you can do flowers, things that can help kind of tie into the vibe of your brand. I saw a couple of people who had more of a cutesy or cottagecore vibe. They would do like a picnic table kind of cover for their tables, and they would wrap their displays with the fake leaves and sprinkle some fairy lights across it just to kind of like add a little oomph. As far as powering these lights, the convention themselves aren't going to provide that thing for you. You're paying for your spot. You get a table, you get some badges, and that's really about it. Everything else is up to you to set up your display. If you want to power your stuff, I recommend bringing maybe like a small generator if you can afford it. If not that, invest in some power banks so that you can power your various devices. The location that the convention is being held at, some of them offer power usage as well. Like, oh, you can get like an outlet, or they can like give you like a little power bank or something. That will cost money, but is an option. So table covers and like brand banners. So one common thing that I saw a lot of people do is they'll pick a color or a decorative fabric that matches their brand, and they'll cover their table with that. Then they will do a table runner from the front to the back of the table, and their brand information will be on that little strip in the front. That was the most common thing I saw people do. I want to say it's probably the most cost effective. It's definitely a lot cheaper to produce a table runner with your branding than it would be to say buy like a whole 6 foot by God knows what foot table cover. Some other people, they just make a banner for themselves. The average banner size is about 5 feet by 2 feet. So what some artists will do is that they will just create their branding banner and they'll tie that to the front of the table. So that way, even though once a large group of people are there, you can't really see those banners, their branding is still apparent, at least on the front of their table, especially during the slower periods, or maybe if you're VIP and you get in a little early, you can see the different table brands before like the crowd start to rush in. Now, one thing that stood out to me last year was that someone had a flag attached to the end of their table, and it sat up pretty high, not high enough to where if you were to hit the table it would fall over, but just high enough to where it peeked over the other tables. And it was just a simple flag. I think it had like a gradient over it, 2 characters, and I think the brand name towards the bottom. And I can tell you right now, when we were walking around the convention hall last year, we kept seeing that flag from the distance, and we're just like, what that flag do? It was like a constant reminder, like, hey, that table looks interesting, we need to make sure we go see that table. And lo and behold, when we got to the aisle where we saw the flag from the distance, and we practically beelined to that table because we had seen that flag so many times that we really wanted to check out what that artist had to offer. We thought that was a fantastic idea, and that alone enabled us to like want to buy something from their table. That won't always be the case, but is a way to help you stand out in a crowd of artist alley tables. Because just as another visual reminder, this is the artist alley. Look at how many tables there were. You need to be able to stand out, and a flag could be a way to do it. Corner table. If you can afford a corner table, people decked them the heck out. Some people had really eccentric designs and ideas to decorate their table, while others were just pretty straightforward and just displayed all of their artwork. Both options are completely valid. The one that stood out to me the most was one called Catawampus Press. They utilized every inch of space for their table. I was a big dingus and didn't record the sides of their table, but as you can see from top to bottom, they made sure that all of their items were on display. They did a really good job of kind of separating, like visually separating each section of their product. They had some of their patchwork over here, they had their stickers and kind of smaller items on the table, they had more of their pins and patchwork on the other side, and what they had on the sides of their tables was more of their print. They utilized every single inch of their table, and I ended up buying the moth patch because It's my colors. How could I not buy it? Her table display alone was impressive enough to make me want to walk up to it. So if you do have the luxury of affording a larger space, either a corner spot or you can afford to buy up to 2 tables, really think about how you can display your stuff in a way that, which would either one, help it stand out in the crowd, B, decorate it in accordance to your brand, or C, come up with a nice way to display everything so it's not overwhelming. I can't tell you how many times I will walk up to an artist alley table in the past. Now this is more so in the past. I don't think I saw too many of them at MegaCon, or if I did, they just went right over my head. Tables of the past put everything. It's like they vomited all their product on their board. And I get it. You want to make sure that people can see everything that you offer. The issue with that is if you've got this little 6-foot table and you've got kind of like your displays this way and this way. So you have side and a back, and it's keychain, 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 sticker, sticker, print, 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 sticker, 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 keychain, keychain, sticker, sticker, keychain, print, this, that, and the third. And it's just, the entire table is just consumed with product. Now, some people might be perfectly fine walking up to that and just going, all right, cool, a bunch of different products on what they did. But I don't know, for me personally, it's incredibly overwhelming just to see so many product in my face at one time. It all just blends together and I want to walk away. I can't focus. I can't think straight. I don't have a break in any of the display to like think about what I want to purchase. So a thing to take in consideration is how you organize your display. Are you displaying it in such a way where the viewers just have a little bit of a break in between what they see? Because that is very, very important. If you just have like a wall of content, you have a wall of art, a wall of keychain, stickers, prints, you've got this product over here, that product over here, it can be incredibly difficult to navigate the different items. And that could turn off a customer from wanting to buy anything because they don't have any breaks in the display where they can kind of rest their eyes and just assess what they were looking at. So for example, there was one table that displayed beautiful enamel pins. Each and every single one was a piece of freaking art when I tell you that they looked so good. But one of the downsides of their table display is that even though everything was sectioned off beautifully and there were things that were color coded, because there were just so many little items all over their table, not to say that it was unorganized, it was very organized and very well done, but because of just the sheer number of product that you could look at, and there really wasn't a place for me to like kind of take a break and be like, oh God, what do I want? It did make purchasing from that table a little difficult. So that could just be a me thing, but also something that you might want to take into consideration. So as far as the items that people use for displays, everybody and their mama used some form of the storage cubes. Like they had the wire storage cubes. A lot of people use the solid color ones and so on, and they kind of build their display/storage systems with those items. So as far as the checkout window for your table, or at least that's what I'm calling it, the checkout window, is that little gap of space that you give yourself to where you can interact with the customer and, you know, take transactions and whatnot. It's like, I am so happy that more artists are gravitating towards having a larger checkout window. I remember many years ago, artists would have a tiny little window to interact with the customers and take transactions. Customers would have to hand their cash through this small little window. It just made that interaction between you and the other artist, well, at least for me, it made that interaction between the artists a little uncomfortable because I'm having to like talk to you through a square. A lot of times if that window is too small, someone might just completely ignore your table because they don't think you're there. But the reality is that you're 2 steps over behind the queues, maybe grabbing some more inventory for something, because I don't know, I'm not really gonna walk up to a table that I don't think someone's there because I can't buy the things that I want because I think the person isn't there. But if your window's a little bit bigger, they can see just a little bit more into like behind the table, not to where they can kind of be nosy and figure out what's going on back there, but just enough to see that someone is behind the table, because you can't make sales if people don't think you're there. So one artist that went by Rose & Co Jewelry, Rose & Co Jewelry, they had their table set up in a way where they had cubes on the side, cubes above them, but about a 4 cube space one, two, three, four. Yeah, a 4 cube space in front of them. And they brought their own chair, specifically a director's chair, which set them up higher than their table so that when someone's walking by, you're practically eye level with them. Have your pricing clear and visible. I can't tell you how many tables I have gone to in the past, and I've had to ask the artist multiple times, like, hey, what's the price of this? What's the price of that? What's the price of this? What's the price of that? Because they didn't have the pricing up front and available. Make sure you have signage for the pricing of the individual items. Not saying like put a price tag on every single item, but hey, if you're selling, say, 8x10 prints, have a sign somewhere that says 8x10 prints are $10. Or if you're selling stickers, have a sign near those stickers that say stickers are $3 a piece. Artists do this in a variety of ways. Some will do like custom sticky notes for the different sections. Others will have like dedicated cutouts with like their branding and colors, and they'll have it attached to each section. Some artists will make a little display board, and as they pin the different items on there, they'll put the price underneath or to the side or just somewhere on there. Just make sure that your pricing is visible. So if you want like a good customer experience, they really shouldn't have to ask how much something costs. Like, one thing for sure, it's human nature to assume that if a price isn't available, I can't afford it. So making sure that your prices are upfront, visible, everything is labeled properly. So all the customer really has to do is walk up to the table, be like, all right, cool. This keychain is $12. This sticker is $3. I can buy 3 stickers for $6. Let me just get my stickers real quick. It just makes that process easier for them. So instead of the conversation being, oh, hey, how much is this? How much is that? How much is that? It can be, oh my gosh, I love this character. Or, oh my gosh, this is really, really cool. Or have more positive, more engaging conversations than just, oh, how much does this print cost? One pet peeve for me personally is the artists who have just like a pricing catalog in one spot on their table, and then there's like no pricing anywhere else. That to me personally annoys the ever-loving crap out of me, because it's just like, I want to know how much these items cost, but now I have to awkwardly stand in front, like pretty much in the center of the table, because that's usually where some artists have put it, punch over and kind of read this pricing thing that's like placed a little ways away. I might have to like lean in just to see it, just to get the pricing of each of the individual items. And personally, that can be a little annoying, because it's just like, I don't want to be all up in your personal space. I don't want to have to lean over this table just to kind of know the exact pricing. Although it is convenient to have the pricing all in one place, I do think it is beneficial to have that pricing next to the relevant item. Or if you want to take that price catalog route and you don't want to like label anything, have multiple copies of that price catalog. Say you have your stickers and keychains in one spot, put a price catalog like right there. Say you have prints and I don't know, mystery bags on one side, put a price catalog over there. So that way there's just more opportunities for the customer to know how much your products cost. Because if they have to ask the question, sometimes that's a little bit of a turnoff. I know people are incredibly fickle. So another thing you can do for your table displays is having a QR code. There were a lot of different artists who had QR codes displayed at usually around some point of their table, just so you can kind of scan it, follow their socials, get more information about them. Having that QR code set up can be a really good thing, because in the event you run out of business cards, which most artists do run out of business cards, that QR code can be the alternative to like, hey, I'm out of cards. If you don't mind, you can scan my QR code, so that the customers who walk by can know who they're purchasing from. Now, one thing that does irk me about the artists who do have QR codes is the fact that their QR code is the only information you can get about that artist. Maybe they don't do business cards because they want to be eco-friendly and save paper, which I 100% understand, but I at least want to know what your brand name is. And if you have no branding on your table, no branding on your products, and the only way I can know who you are is by scanning your QR code, which also doesn't have any branding on it, that personally turns me off from want to buy anything from you, because that tells me you can't even bother to print your name on a piece of paper. In most cases, that's probably an oversight. The artists are just hyper focused on making sure that all of their products are good to go and that everything is displayed nicely on their table. And it could have just completely slipped their mind like, oh snap, the only way people know who I am is through the QR code. But if your QR code doesn't have your name on it, Like at minimum, I just need to associate a name with a table. I can't associate a QR code with a table. That's just my personal pet peeve. But if you don't have your branding anywhere, how is your customer supposed to know who to come back to? There have been plenty, and I mean plenty of instances where I've purchased something from someone and I had no idea who I bought it from. So another thing with table displays is that some artists had a self-serve system while others had a this is everything I got, look at what you want and then tell me what you want. Being able to kind of touch and feel the item can help confirm whether or not they want to buy that item. It's not a super huge deterrent if they can't touch the item, but it can be useful. I see a lot of artists do this with stickers, smaller prints, and just kind of like smaller loose items. It does make the checkout process easier because instead of going, hey, can I get your Shishomaru sticker, your Inuyasha keychain, your Bakugo enamel pin, and your Pochita print, they can pick up the individual items they want and just hand them over to you and be like, hey, these are the items that I want to purchase. As far as larger items are concerned, like the bags or the prints and so on, the prints I feel are pretty straightforward. You can just keep them up there. A customer doesn't need to hold a print to know if they want to buy it or not. So like if you're selling more physical items like clothing or like a plush doll or like a Ida bag or something, have like a sample version that people can kind of grab and touch on to be like, oh, this crochet amigurumi is like really soft and plushy, or ooh, the material on this button-up shirt feels really, really nice. Them being able to kind of touch and hold those items are going to help solidify them wanting to buy it. As far as the other method where you just have everything up on display and they can just kind of pick and choose, have some type of identifier. I know I mentioned make sure that your pricing is good to go earlier, but also make sure that people can easily tell you what they want. It's almost as if you're going to a fast food restaurant. It's like, can I get a #1 with fries and a shake? Someone could walk up to your table and go, oh, hey, you have a keychain labeled A1. Can I get the A1 keychain? Or they have the option, if they know the character, they could say, hey, can I get the Demon Slayer keychain? One thing to take in consideration and why you should like have some type of labeling system for your items, people like to purchase things for other people as gifts. Prime example, I have friends who are into Chainsaw Man, but I'm not really familiar with the anime myself, but I recognize the characters. If I see the orange-haired guy and I go, oh, hey, can I get the keychain of the orange-haired guy? You're gonna look at me like I'm funny because you've got 3 orange-haired guys on your thing. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. But because I don't know that character, I can only identify him as the orange hair guy. Instead of me saying chainsaw guy or orange hair guy, I could go, oh, hey, can I get your J3 keychain? And you're like, oh yeah, J3, that's such and such character. Got you. So having a label to help people order easier is another thing you could do. So talking about the tables that you can buy for this event, there were 3 different options. Option 1 was a 6-foot table. I think it was close to $500. No. People were saying $475. So yeah, $475 for a 6-foot table. You could get 2 6-foot tables. I want to say that one was maybe closer to $800 or $900. And then you could get a corner space that was definitely a little over $1,000. One thing that we discovered while at this event is that MegaCon, surprisingly, is one of the few events that doesn't care if you share a table with someone. That's kind of nutty if you think about it. Now, these rules could definitely change from this point on forward, but as of right now, as of 2024, you can share a table. So $500 for a 6-foot table does sound like a lot of money, but if you can find another art friend who is willing to share that table space with you, now you only have to pay $250 per person. I'll let you figure out the logistics of who pays for what. While we're talking about display ideas, let's pivot to the advice of Ashes AR. She was an artist selling at MegaCon and we found her by chance. Now, my selfish bestie got all the good information from her, and they talked about pricing and how to set up your table and just kind of casually left me out of the conversation. Rude. So I'm gonna let her tell you everything that she got from her.
Hola, I'm Indigo Fairy Craft, the selfish bestie who got all the good tea. Meeting Ashes AR was by chance and was my absolute favorite table. She was more than willing to give advice, and when she started, she couldn't stop. Advice number 1, make sure to have items that are low, mid, and high cost. So basically, buyer psychology suggests that most individuals will be turned off from the higher cost items, but want to spend more than the low cost items. This will make the mid cost items more attractive to buy because to them, they are getting the best bang for their buck. Here's an example: memberships. The first tier is the cheapest, but that second tier has better goodies and it's just $2 more. The highest tier is just too much for your wallet at the moment, and you don't need anything too fancy anyway. Advice number 2: if your work is detailed, organize your display so that the customer's eyes can rest somewhere. If you put multiple pieces of detailed art next to each other, the customer will be very overwhelmed and not know where to look, and that's when they start walking away from your table. If you leave blank spaces or less detailed spots on your display, the customer can rest their eyes while viewing your work. I personally loved this table because she had a section where her detail art was placed in a way where it made my eyes roam, and then when I looked in another spot, it was less detailed. So I had actually a problem of what to pick because I liked everything, because there were parts that were detailed and some parts that were not. So this is actually very important. You don't want people walking away from your table because they're just too overwhelmed to buy anything. Now, advice number 3: if your work is simple, feel free to fill up your display with as much work as possible. If your work has simple rendering or more of a graphic design style, a full display should not overwhelm the customer. A good example is if you get an artist who doesn't put so much in the background of their pieces or has like solid color plates. There should be plenty of spaces where the eyes can rest between browsing between each pieces of artwork on the table. Advice number 4: invest back into your artwork. Once you start making money from your work, start putting some of that money back into it. You can upgrade your supplies, print on better paper, manufacture higher cost products, and so much more. Advice number 5: slowly discount the products you want to get rid of. If you have products that are not selling well, you can gradually decrease the price to get rid of the excess inventory. Or if you want to add new products, but you need more space to store them, you can gradually discount products you don't plan on selling anymore to make the space. Here are some examples. Examples are bundling, mystery packs, and freebies. After a customer pays a certain amount, they will get a free bookmark or a small print, a sticker, etc. Make it feel like a gift. Advice number 6: practice setting up, breaking down, packing, and unpacking your display. It goes without explanation that you need to practice how your display will look. Take the time to figure out where everything will go so you don't have to take too long to set up when you go to the event. You want to plan how you're going to pack your display for transport as well. Will you pack a luggage or plastic bins? Plan on how you will store and transport everything as efficiently as possible. Practice how long it will take to set up the entire display, to break everything down and pack it up. Time yourself. You want to get a feel for how this process goes so you can be prepared as possible when vending at events. Bonus tip: check your table stability. Check that the legs are the same height and they are not rocking.
Setting up your table is only one step to the process. If you want to know more that you can do to prepare, then check out this video next.